Okay, this video is entitled Why I Respect Saracen Martial Arts. Now, our group, Aim High Martial Arts and Saracen Martial Arts, have done a lot of work together. We've competed against each other in competitions and we train together occasionally, maybe once every couple of months or so. And I got to know a lot of the students there and the instructor Ian Soam really well. And we share, in my opinion, similar values. Oh, indeed. Now, what do I mean by similar values? Well, martial arts is about people, it's not about moves. They share that value. Now, obviously, when you start martial arts, it is about moves and learning how to strike, learning how to do things, all the rest of that. And learning how to grapple or whatever martial art you're doing. You're learning moves. But over time, an empty dojo has no moves. So what do you need? You need people. So it's always about people. But what keeps people coming? Relationship. Relationship is what matters. Kazuna, the Japanese call that. Bond of friendship. Kazuna. There's also another expression the Japanese have. It's called well, not the Japanese have, I guess we have it. DID, dead in the dojo. The Japanese have a different name for it, but I can't think for the life of me what that is. But it basically means you're not actually dying in the dojo. It means a commitment to life of martial arts that if you have to, you'll die in the dojo. So where's this why I respect Saracen Martial Arts gone? Well, one of Saracen's members is, when I met him about 3 years back, is Taekwondo Steve. That's all I know him as is Taekwondo Steve. He's, at the time when I met him, I think he's 71. I think 3 years ago, maybe, if I'm right, 3 years ago. And Taekwondo Steve started in his 70s and always wanted to do Taekwondo and started in his 70s. Yes, kids, 70s, right? So when your parents say, oh, I'm too old for that, I'm 40 odd now. Well, I'm 40 odd, but you know, Taekwondo Steve kind of eliminates that argument straight away. Now, Taekwondo Steve, he learned about DID, dead in the dojo, and he took it literally. He died in the dojo 4 weeks ago. He was doing sparring because he was good at sparring, very good at sparring. I sparred with him. The man was good. He'd play sneaky tricks on you, like step on your foot so you couldn't move away, then punch you in the face. He was great at stuff like that. But he was sparring, and we suspect he had a heart attack, and he dropped dead. Now, again, why I respect Saracen Martial Arts. Ian Soam and his team are all first aid trained, like you should have someone with that. But Ian Soam does that for a living, first aid training. He was straight on it. Called an ambulance and started the chest compressions. And if you know anything about chest compressions, your chances of resuscitating someone, they usually say, is about 3%. If you can get a defibrillator, I think it goes up to about 20-25%. If you can get the ambulance there in time, about 40% chance of survival. For a 74-year-old man, you know, you're talking, it's so unlikely, you know, that any of these methods will work. Even the ambulance is highly unlikely. Unless they can get into hospital, it's highly unlikely. But he's doing the chest compressions. And his team, I think they were rotating and they were doing their damnedest to keep Sensei Steve's body alive, to give the ambulance time, to give him the best possible chance of survival. Well, the ambulances, you know, they start looking for the defibrillator in the car park. He's on the phone, the chest compressions are happening. Ian Soam is checking the breathing. His chest is not moving. There is no breath. He is dead. He is not breathing. He is dead. And just as the ambulance arrives, he starts breathing again. The chest compressions are worked. He's breathing again. Shallow breathing. You know, and you know, I can't imagine the relief Ian Soam and his team must have felt at that point. You know, the man's breathing, but that doesn't mean he hasn't got brain damage. It doesn't mean he ain't, like, gonna possibly die again in the ambulance or on the way to the hospital, drop dead again. We don't know what's gonna happen. You know, he's gonna be in a critical state, you know, if things are good. So they get him into the ambulance. Nino drives away, goes to the hospital. No one knows what's happening. You know, you go radio silence until the hospital's had at least a chance to try a few things and do some testing to make, you know, resuscitate him. Because though he's breathing, shallow breathing, he ain't conscious. You know, there's just a shallow, he might be brain dead, he might be in a coma. You know, you don't know. So what ends up happening is he goes to the hospital, and within about 6 hours, his Taekwondo Steve's daughter called Ian Soam and said he's sitting up right now, chatting up the nurses. Well, it turns out, due to his Taekwondo training at his old age, it's made his body fit and strong. And due to his Taekwondo training, where instead of waiting 6 months for operating, they operated within 4 weeks. I saw him tonight, which is 4 weeks after his operation, and he's just in the dojo, just sitting there wanting to chat to people and just thank people for helping him. And he's like, gets a standing ovation, which, like an idiot, I didn't record. It was a beautiful moment that I did not record. But I did the next best thing. I got an interview with me and Taekwondo Steve, and that's going to come on the end of this video, so you can see the legend and see him with your own eyes. See, at that moment in time, it wasn't about moves or who's the hardest or any of that stupidity. It wasn't about whose style is best or what techniques work or anything like that. That was about keeping a good man alive and keeping their community and their school functioning. And it matters about people, because it's about people, and it always will be about people.
Taekwondo Steve, and he's called Taekwondo Steve because he does Taekwondo. How old are you, Steve?
73.
73.
I'm 74.
And Taekwondo Steve, there's an old expression in martial arts called DID, dead in the dojo. I'll do it until I drop dead. He literally dropped dead in the dojo 4 weeks ago.
And he come back from the dead.
And he come back from the dead. So respect Taekwondo Steve.
Come from hell.
and he will get his black belt soon, won't you?
I won't get it.
Yeah, cool man, thank you. Cheers.